with this nice view that we have going on. I wonder where it is, but wherever it is, it looks very serene. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our convention readiness panel today. This is session 2 out of 2. We had our session yesterday, which is up on the Region 5 YouTube channel. So getting those links out to you as we are going to record this session in case anybody wants to refer back, or if somebody did miss this session, they'll be able to look back on it. So my name is Cindy Sanchez. I am the Region 5 RVP for this year. I work for SLB, formerly known as Schlumberger, as a training lead, and I've been in SHPE since 2011. Started right out of high school. They kind of caught me, and I fell in love with it, and I've been involved ever since. So chapter operations, I mean, anything, that's my jam. I'll hand it over to Will to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. William Gonzalez, Region 7 RVP. Been in SHPE since 2012, and similar to Cindy, they caught me as a freshman, and I've been stuck supporting you guys and everything, chasing your dreams since then. Today, I work for Microsoft in, I'm just going to call it sales and consulting, supporting the use of our cloud. Cindy, do you want to let our speakers go in and do their introductions?
Yeah, so we do have 3 very talented speakers with us today. All of them are professionals and have quite an extensive and variety of background within SHPE and otherwise. So first, let's get started with Jay Flores. Introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, especially your SHPE story. And if you have like a favorite convention story, please tell us about that as well.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me. My name is Jay Flores. I didn't get caught my freshman year. Actually, I avoided SHPE as long as I could because I had this idea that I needed to just focus on school and that's it. And then on weekends, I had a girlfriend in a different town, so I would go back. So it was like school, girlfriend, no time for anything else. Fortunately, I did get an internship the summer of my freshman year that was tied to a scholarship that I had received. And I did very well on that internship, but at the end, my manager challenged me. He's like, the one thing you're missing here is a leadership position. And I just ran straight back to SHPE. And I was like, hey guys, remember when you were asking me about do you guys have any leadership positions? And I became presentation chair, which was the only thing that was available left at that time when I came back. But it's crazy because that position basically shaped what I am today, because now I own my own business. I do STEM focused outreach in K-12, specifically 2nd to 6th grade is my favorite area to work with. I have my own brands, Invent the Change. It's not magic, it's science. And I get to do basically presentation chair, full-time job after a couple years of engineering. But the other crazy part is that position took me to then, eventually I was on the National Board of Directors as a student, had the opportunity in 2011 to help craft the mission and vision statements of SHPE. So it used to be SHPE is the source for quality Hispanic engineers and technical talent. It made us sound like we were this factory for brown engineers. It had nothing to do with supporting our community and making a difference. So that's one of my, I guess, favorite SHPE moments, period. But from a convention perspective, it was my first one. My 2008, it was in Phoenix. I had no idea what I signed up for. That was, again, right after the manager told me, like, get leadership positions. I raised my hand for everything SHPE. They're like, oh, you want to go to convention? I didn't even know where it was. I said yes. And then I found out we had to fly there and all this other stuff. And I went there just like having no idea. Just like this year, it was around the time of Halloween. And I saw Pillsbury Doughboy, and I was like, some student decided to ruin their chances at an internship by wearing their costume to Halloween or to the SHPE conference. And then I realized it was a General Mills workshop right behind that. So they were using their mascots to promote things. And that's where it really clicked. Like, there's opportunities for us everywhere. Things I wouldn't have even dreamed of or thought of are possible at SHPE. So coming from this tiny chapter at the University of Wisconsin to then seeing all these amazing people and all these opportunities is something I hope that all of you will have your eyes open to if you haven't seen it yet. And for those of you that have, that you'll dig in deeper and further into some of those opportunities, because you never know where it's going to take you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jay. We'll hand it off to Jose.
Hey everyone, so my name is Jose Mendez. I actually graduated from the University of Houston back in 2018 as a mechanical engineer. Since then, I've bounced around a little bit, worked mainly in aerospace, worked at Lockheed Martin in Fort Worth, currently work at NASA up in Ohio. So if you see things getting a little dark on my end, that is why. I am an hour ahead and the sun's starting to set. But for SHPE, in terms of SHPE, I actually did not join my first year either. I didn't even know what SHPE was until the second year. But from there, after I joined, it was pretty much, I think like Jay said, it was whenever an opportunity came up, I was volunteering, I was raising my hand to be one of those people who went to these opportunities. So my first conference was actually, I went to my first conference maybe 3 or 4 weeks after joining SHPE. And I think I was very much in the field where I have no idea what's going on. This is a lot, and we'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. But I think from there on, growing in the chapter, taking chair positions, taking executive board positions there, going up to be vice president external, and then not only wrapping up my SHPE career as a student, but then also when I moved to Lockheed Martin, joining the professional chapter there, taking on leadership positions there, just to make sure we can continue to impact the community. That's always, I think, one of the big values that I saw with SHPE, right? That it's not so much the growth that we get ourselves, which is always important, but it's also how do we impact or make sure those communities around us continue to grow as well. I think that's always the thing that we need to remember, right? I mean, we can only help execute the mission and vision of SHPE if we go back to do things like this, so that we can go and just encourage people, students, to keep going forward, right, and look for these new opportunities. But I think that's always what drove me back to want to be involved with SHPE and other organizations similar to SHPE as well. But I think I'll wrap it up there, Cindy, and then we can probably go into a little bit more with some of the questions.
All right. Thank you, Jose. And last but definitely not least, we have Paula.
Hi, yes, thank you, Cindy. My name is Paula Montiel. I'm originally from Venezuela, but I've been in Houston, Texas since 2005. I went to the University of Houston, graduated with Jose 2018, mechanical engineer, go Cougs. Me and Jose were actually in e-board together, and our e-board got chapter of the year. So plenty of great memories from SHPE. But no, we'll go a lot into preparation for professional, in the professional standpoint. But what I want to touch on too is the SHPE Familia, which I know sometimes it's taken us a little, culty, but it's something I really preach on. That's something that is really dear to me. A lot of my SHPE friends that I made in my time in college and even outside are still my core group of friends. I'm engaged to one of them. And I've been going to SHPE conference even as a professional every year, except for this year, unfortunately, because I'm going to the wedding of somebody else also met in SHPE that I was also an e-board for. So I'm really happy that I was able to join SHPE when I did. I didn't join it as early either. I joined it probably 2 to 3 years. I was a 5-year extra victory lap in school. But by the time I joined, it was all in. It was the piece that I was missing, especially with, being a minority, being an immigrant in engineering, being a woman. You don't know how much you don't know. And with SHPE, it always felt like people have their best intention for me when I had no clue what I was doing. At first, it could be very overwhelming hearing so many people tell me, you need to do this, you need to do that. But then truthfully, it was because I needed it. And that has fostered great relationship. And it was nice to have a pool of people and a community that I could trust and then give back, right? Cindy messaged me yesterday, was it? Like, not even that long ago. It's like, can you help out? I'm like, absolutely. Whatever I can do, there's no questions asked. That kind of relationship that it goes outside of college. You graduated 5 years ago. We're still going strong. So SHPE has a very special place to me, and helping the community, it's something I continue to do.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So we'll delve into our first question. So what is the best piece of advice that you have for first-time convention attendees? As of yesterday's session, we had a lot of people online that have never been to a convention before, and possibly not even any kind of SHPE conference in general, like spring conferences or NELA or anything like that. So for those first-time attendees, what is the best piece of advice? I don't know who wants to go first.
I guess I could go, Cindy. I think the main one, as I said, I went to my first SHPE convention or SHPE conference at the time, maybe a month into being into the organization. So I think, that's probably the least amount of preparation I could have given myself. And I think one of the best piece of advice I can give is to really do your homework in terms of what you want to take away from that conference. Obviously, the big one that everyone wants is some sort of an internship or a full-time offer. But aside from that, think about what industries you're concerned with or interested in, what you really want to learn from it. And then what I learned when I walked in is this is a huge convention, right? There's a lot to look at. If you didn't do your homework ahead of time, it can be very daunting to walk into that conference and trying to figure out what am I doing, right? And then if you look around and you see that everyone else had a game plan and you didn't, it's very easy to then to start feeling like, wait, everyone else has an idea of what they're doing and I don't. What's going on, right? So it's even easier to fall behind. So I think what you're doing now is a very good first step to get a little bit more knowledge about what it takes to be prepared for the conference. But I think really learning the agenda, picking out from there ahead of time, what kind of workshops you want to sit in on. Like I said, what you want to take away from those workshops. If it's a Microsoft workshop because you're interested in working in Microsoft, by all means, go for it, right? Look, if they have 2 or 3, sign up for all of them and go, right? Be there early, be willing to network with the professionals and learn from them. Not just about, hey, I want an internship at Microsoft, what does it take? But really learn about what they're doing in their fields, because I think that's going to set you apart from everyone else. Everyone wants that internship. Showing that interest, that hey, you're really willing to learn a little bit more about what the company is doing, what interests they have, what markets they're looking into. I think that's something that will help set you apart. But I think wrapping all that up in a bow, just being prepared and being able to learn from or do your homework on the agenda and what you want to take away from the conference or convention. They changed the name on me.
Yeah, we're used to calling it SHPE conference and not SHPE convention.
I think I really like the fact that we could still say SHPCon, like you going to SHPCon, hashtag. It's like, yep, it works. Conference convention. But anyway, I think Jay, you were gonna speak.
Yeah, I'll just add that it's not just a career fair. There are so many opportunities to land that internship or that job outside of the career fair. Starting with right now, if you haven't already, uploading your resume to the SHPE database. My first convention, I had an interview before I even put my luggage in the room. Like the hotel wouldn't let us put our luggage away yet. And I already had an interview because of having my resume up there. It was with GE Healthcare, which happened to be 20 minutes away from my parents' house. I had no idea. I grew up there. I had no idea that there was all this opportunity right in my backyard. And I guess they did a search for either my hometown or college or the university I went to on the database, found my resume, and I ended up interning with them, not that summer, but the following summer. And just using all of those opportunities, whether that's competitions, workshops, all kinds of networking and hospitality suites, all these different events that allow you to stand out better than just your resume does, is going to be huge, because that's what separates you from the thousands and thousands of other people that are going to be there. It's how you performed on a team on the competition, or it's the confidence that you came in with at the hospitality suite, whatever it may be, that's just a little bit different than just a piece of paper, is going to set you apart. So definitely take advantage of all of those.
And something else I would like to add, both of them, both of the comments have been made. Absolutely great advice, and take that on. And adding more, that it's not just a conference, it's not just competitions. Once you touch ground at the convention center, it's on. It doesn't matter if you're standing in line to the bathroom. You don't know if you're next to a recruiter, and that's like some mentality that it's really hard, because it can be very overwhelming. I remember the first couple conferences that I went to.
You got it? Yes, so we're just gonna.
Oh, sorry, I thought someone, I'm sure not muted. I remember the first couple conferences, it was overwhelming how many people were there, and you just wanted like some break so you could go get a snack and just be able to relax. So you see your friends and you start joking. But then maybe what you're saying is not the best thing. The recruiter is right next to you, right? And even on the flip side of that, it can be a great positive. We know somebody from our chapter that, you know, went to conference as prepared as she could be, and it wasn't until the plane ride back home that she happened to sit next to a recruiter, and the whole ride home got her an interview, which is where she started working like professionally after school. So keeping that mindset, it is a professional conference. That professionalism doesn't turn off. There are more social events. You can be looser, you know, not as spiffy and tight, but nonetheless, don't forget that fact, because as a recruiter that I've been there, I pick up on a lot of that, and unfortunately, that stays a lot more than you being polite to somebody. Hearing you not treat somebody really nice or saying certain comments, that unfortunately that sticks out a lot more. So it's not like in school that you go to class and you act, you know, well mannered in class, but you step out and you can do whatever. Stepping out is still means being among professionals. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, how many people from Dallas or Miami fly to Salt Lake City every, you know, Wednesday with Halloween day, right? It's very likely that most of your plane is going to be going to convention.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and Paula, I think you mentioned something as a recruiter, right? Because now you have the experience as a recruiter. So that actually leads into our next question. As a recruiter, if you guys have ever had any kind of volunteering or recruiting experience at convention, what is something that you look for in a top candidate? Or if you don't have recruiting experience, what is something that you've heard of other your friends that are recruiters that they look for in a top candidate?
I can start this one off. And I don't think I ever mentioned when I introduced myself. I work for DuPont, it's a chemical company. Going to a comment that Jose also made when it comes to homework. For example, for my company, it's a chemical specialty product company that merged with Dow. And there were many times that somebody will come up to me, it's like, tell me about your life at Dow. I'm like, man, that's the wrong company. So that really shows the lack of preparation. That it could be nervousness, but that's something that really does stand out. More on the negative, unfortunately. But you know, you remember your days as a student. You're not gonna, you know, guillotine them for that. But what really was this out for me is it really comes through when somebody's prepared because they're calm and they can talk through their resume. There's been many times that, you know, I'm handed a resume and I'm listening as they're talking and I'm reading a few things. And when I ask a follow up on something on the resume, they have no idea what I just asked. Some people like to maybe showcase themselves a little more in an inflated manner on the resume, but when you're not able to speak on it, that's going to hurt you at the end. I think definitely having that demeanor, even though you may be breaking inside, having that demeanor out to the recruiter stands out the most, because now I'm also relaxed talking to you. I don't think I need to, you know, de-escalate you instead of just having a conversation and getting to know you. And I guess another comment back with the advice, I would say something that the glass was broken or the wall was broken coming from a student to then a recruiter. We're all people, you know, we're also nervous too. You know, sometimes you'll meet somebody that's the first time in the company or first time recruiting, or maybe they've been at the job for a couple weeks instead of just a couple of weeks into SHPE, right? These are all people. It's totally okay if you don't say something properly, you correct yourself. You have small talk to see how they're doing, and then you go from there, right? um, that's what I would say. The communication, being able to explain, especially if you have projects listed. I know there's always a positive of showcasing your technicality, especially if you're going for an engineering role on your resume. But if I ask you about it and you just repeat what's on the paper, you're not making me believe that you may be able to explain or understand what you're doing. So that sends out the most, to be able to explain and communicate effectively.
Yep. Anyone else want to add anything to it?
I could add a little bit, but my experience isn't so much on the recruiting, say at a convention, just more so at my job, you know, looking at resumes for interviews. But one of the things that at least I always look for any of the team members that I'm willing to potentially hire. I think Paula really hit the nail on the head with the one that I was saying, that you really need to know your resume and really know your experience. It comes across it's very noticeable whenever you aren't familiar with your resume or with your experience. So those mock interviews that you do, those resume workshops, there's a lot of value in them because it really gives you a chance to reflect on your experiences, what you've done in the past, and not to how to inflate them, but how to make each of those things that you've done in the past and make them meaningful, find a meaningful aspect behind them. I've had great candidates come to me for an interview with an amazing resume, but when you get to the interview and they can't talk about what they have, and sometimes it is because of shyness, right? But which maybe shouldn't be something that we penalize people for, but at the end of the day, if I'm looking for someone that's going to be in a leadership position, like that is going to be a detriment, right? If they can't talk about their past successes. So being able to do that, I think, is the number one thing that I would have as well. The second one that I would add is just being well-rounded. Obviously, we're always going to say that grades are important, but as Jay said, he was told you're missing a leadership position. Your grades can be great, but if we need, as professionals, we're looking for people who can be part of a team, people who can potentially grow to be leaders. I always tell people, I'm looking for someone, if it's a new engineer, early career engineer, who could retire us, right? We want to find someone who is going to have that skill set to 40, 35 years down the road, be able to take over our jobs, right? And I think that's something really important as well. It's not just about grades. As Jay said, it's about leadership experience as well. I think for me, a big one would be just how you operate in a team as well. I think those are the points that I would like to add to what Paula said.
I think one of the game changers whenever I was recruiting is someone that not only understood that they wanted to work at the company I was recruiting for, right? So some people show up and they're just fishing for random jobs, right? So first of all, knowing for sure that this is a place you want to work and why. But if you can get even a little bit more specific into the type of area or role, division, state, industry, like however you can narrow it down a little bit more to showcase that not only do I know this company, I've done some research and made the effort to figure out where I fit. And then next level is when you can showcase specifically how your experiences on your resume correlate to success there in the future. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean direct previous engineering experience, right? Like, especially for those of you who this may be your first time, like, how do I get experience if I need experience to get experience, right? One of the best interviews I ever had, this lady didn't have the best GPA, and she also didn't have a previous internship experience. But I was recruiting for sales engineers, and she talked to me about her Starbucks experience and how she deals with customers that aren't necessarily in the best mood early in the morning before they got their coffee, when they're late for work and everything. And to me, that sounded like a customer whose line was down, and she seemed to know how to handle that conversation with a customer whose line is down, right? It was Starbucks, it was totally different, but I could see her with a little bit of training at the company really being able to have the harder skills than, I mean, not that engineering isn't a difficult skill, but some of the more difficult people interaction, customer skills that not everybody comes out of school with. And so that really helps set her apart. And one other way I'd love to see all of you on the call do that is with your SHPE involvement. So I don't want to see just like member, right, on your resume. I want to see how you got involved, even if you're not taking on an e-board position, what events you help support as a volunteer, how you used your skills in both your leadership roles and in any research or internship opportunities you've had.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for your input on that question. I think in the interest of time, we're going to jump on over to the questions on the chat. Will, do you want to start with a specific one?
So I have 3 questions that I wrote down from the chat. I'm going to go ahead, and only 1 or 2 of you need to highlight on this one. What do you guys think of opportunities for folks who have already graduated from college and are attending the convention? Is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? We'll just take the first 2 and then we'll move on to the next question in the interest of time.
Yeah, this is my 14th national convention, so there is some reason why I continue to go back. Every time has been a little bit different of a benefit or a value, right? Sometimes it's early career development. Right now it's business development as an entrepreneur. Part of it is also giving back, connecting with, friends and family that I've made through SHPE. But it's just key is to making sure that you're going there with that plan, because as a student, your plan is very clear, right? You're trying to get that first internship. It's very clear, not only for yourself, but in the path of what SHPE provides for you with the career fair and the workshops and all the stuff. As a professional now, you have to decide, okay, what is my goal with this? Is it to gain some extra skills that I need to become a manager? Is it to go into a new industry? Is it in my case, entrepreneurship? And so I'm trying to make business connections. Just be very clear on what that is and then how you fill your agenda with that. Because otherwise you're just going to end up going to a couple of random workshops, maybe connecting with some people, but not really having a good plan. So just as you would as a student, make sure you have that game plan set.
One more, Jose or Paula? Or you guys good on the question?
I agree with Jay.
Yeah, I would say I have not had the opportunity to go back since I wrapped up college. I didn't get a chance to go with Lockheed, so I don't have much to input either. But I think Jay kind of laid it out really well.
Totally agree. I will add one quick thing. If that question was tailored of, hey, is there still jobs for me as a recent grad? But the answer is yes. Good candidates are good candidates. My recommendation would be make sure to do research on the companies, look at what jobs they have. And when you go up to them and talk to them, say, hey, I did already graduate. I'm currently working here. I'm not working. I've already applied for this role, and this is how I would be a good fit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They might not have a person there, or they might have a person there. You just still have to go in and attempt. I've helped people get jobs that are 1-2 years out of college. Moving on to the next question. Any tips or tricks for networking before the convention?
With recruiters?
Yes, with recruiters, with other SHPE
Yeah.
members, and any sort of networking. It was a very vague question, so yes, I like how you understood it like that because I didn't think about it like that.
I haven't thought about this a ton, but the first thing that came up to me, whenever I've had a convention that I wanted to be at, but I couldn't go to, I would figure out what the key hashtags were. And then I would search Twitter, I would search LinkedIn for those hashtags and see what kind of value was provided there that I may have missed. Sometimes there was clips of, workshops. There was stuff that, I couldn't be there, but I still got the value from. So now looking at that from prior to convention, you're probably going to get posts about companies that are, saying we're going to be here and go to our hospitality suite. You can comment on that, like, oh, I can't wait to go, to the Microsoft hospitality suite. Do you have any other workshops or other cool things that are going on? Leverage those, people that are posting about that, because the ones that are probably the hardcore SHPE previous members that are now working at these companies and are going to understand where you're coming from and your struggles and your successes and really want to support. So I would just search SHPE 2023, SHPE convention. I don't know, just think of other hashtags that you can look up on X or Twitter and LinkedIn specifically.
I think the one I will add as well is wet SHPE. We all have, as undergrads and grad students, we all have a pipeline to professionals with the professional chapters. So I think really on top of the social media and the LinkedIn avenues, I think that's one option that I would have taken advantage of as a student, reaching out to, at the time, the SHPE Houston professional chapter, to say, hey, we're going to conference, right? Or I'm going to conference. I'm interested in these opportunities. Is there anyone in your network you can leverage, right, in terms of getting a connection made, to be able to say, hey, again, I'm going to pick on Will again because he has the Microsoft logo that I'm constantly looking at. but if I was interested in working at Microsoft, right, reaching out to Cindy and saying, hey, Cindy, do you know anyone who works at Microsoft that I could potentially talk about this opportunity? I've done my research. I'm interested in this opportunity for this reason. Who can I talk to ahead of the time? But I think that's a different avenue that I would add on top of the LinkedIn hashtags and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook hashtags as well.
And the last quick thing I would add is this right now, right? A lot of you guys are getting to see us. And again, typically I would go, but this year I'm not. But this is already you interfacing, or even, you know, if I were to go the following year, you see me like, I remember you were in this meeting that was set up to prep us. Hey, great. Glad you remember. Let's talk. Like, I'm going to have now a softer spot for you. So even attending this, taking the time out of your day to participate in a conversation like this is a networking. Or you see similar names, right? That's something that you can connect with too, to have that partnership with somebody. Hey, it's your first time. It's my first time too. What are you bringing? What are you wearing? Right? That, like, participating in these prep sessions is also great networking.
Perfect. All of you got some 2 cents in, so we're going to move on to the next question. Is it a good or bad thing to be too broad or too picky with your internships when you're looking at the career fair? So one mentality of, I will only work here, or I will do anything you want to just give me a job. Thoughts, feedback, where are we at with this?
I've been in both positions. Definitely in my earlier years, I forgot who mentioned it, but someone says you're always looking for that first internship. I was definitely a little bit more broad there, but whenever I was going in for a full-time position, I knew I wanted to work aerospace. So I really, again, I kind of touching on what I mentioned at the beginning, did my homework for aerospace companies. Who would I go talk to? And that's really what I did in my last year, right? I went to the Boeings, the Lockheed, the NASA groups, and really just made that my focus. I think it varies from person to person depending on where you are in your student career. Like I said, if you're going for your first internship, you always want to work doing something that you're going to love and enjoy. Maybe though for your first year, you might have to give a little bit of leeway if you're not getting the responses you want from the companies you want. But I think definitely as you're moving on to full-time positions, you do have a little bit more liberty to be able to be a little bit more picky and say, I know for sure this is the industry I want to work with. From company values, I know these are companies I want to work with. I'm going to dedicate my time at convention to networking with these companies and selling myself the most I can to those companies.
I think as long as you're not just like running out there and like, okay, here's the first booth, let me talk to this person and the next, right? It's okay to talk to multiple companies, but I would still, as part of your plan, take out, let's say, like the top 3 companies that you think are like dream companies. Again, this could be the rest of your life, right? And going hard on those, right? Like figuring out what their hospitality suites are, which workshops they have, like filling the core skeleton of your agenda with those key ones that you really see as your top companies, tailoring a few resumes to those companies, really putting in the work to put your best self forward for those. And then there's going to be workshop slots that are still available, right? You don't have your top 3 at noon on Thursday, right? So you then go and see which other ones are kind of interesting, or a company that maybe you hadn't heard of, and you can go and pitch yourself to those companies as well. So there's going to be more than enough opportunities to talk to a wide variety of organizations, but really having that focus at first is going to help you get your best chance there, and then you can spread out after that.
And the last quick thing I will add, agreement with Jay and Jose, is that, for example, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I started as biology pre-med, and I realized maybe I didn't feel comfortable having a biology degree and graduating and realizing I didn't want to go to medical school. So I decided, well, what's the next best thing? Oh, I'm good at math. I'm good at science. Oh, I guess engineering. I had no clue what industry I wanted to go to. So I was one of those going through many, many people, which one was because I didn't know, and 2, I'd have no experience. I want to increase my chances. And no experience is bad experience, in the sense that you can try something, let's say that it just did not work for you. Now you can use it as leverage to better clean up what your path wants to be. And even when you talk to a recruiter, you have experience to back up why you may not be pursuing certain roles, certain industries, certain regions, right? But it's not quite beggars can be choosers, but I would, increase your chances by talking to the more that you can. If you're earlier in your career, like college career, you don't have that much clarity. And also, you may think you really want something, but then maybe you try something else and you might get an interest in something completely different. So the less experience that you have, I will challenge be more open-minded about different industries, different companies.
Love that advice. All right, so we're going to do one more question, and then we're going to break out into breakout rooms. We'll manually get you guys situated with some of the speakers, and you guys can continue to ask questions or just get to know them. So last question, what do I wear every day? Am I wearing suits every day? Am I doing polos and slacks, dress pants, button up, dresses? Like, well, what's the deal? Who wants to go first?
It's never wrong to be overdressed. You're more in a bad place if you're underdressed. However, I remember back in my day, you would have like an easier like breakdown of each day. But I think post COVID, they've changed the dynamic. I would highly suggest at a minimum business casual, nice shoes, nice fitted, tops, nothing, too tight, both men or women. Definitely, would not recommend t-shirts and jeans. But I believe even through the day, most of people typically stay in hotels that are walkable from the convention. Typically during the career fair is the one time you need to be, suited up, jackets, slacks, all that, the whole nine. But everything else you could be in business. I've also saw in the last conference there was a jacket check-in. So you could be a little more business casual during the workshops, maybe during some of the hospitality suite, but then when it came to the career fair, you could put your jacket on and have that professional level elevated. Comfortable shoes, no matter what you're wearing. You see so many people started walking barefoot like the second day. So please use comfortable shoes and band-aids for the back of the heel. Number one, forget your slacks. Band-aids. Bring band-aids for your shoes.
Yeah, my first convention, I only owned one suit, and I'm pretty sure it was from my high school graduation. But like, I had different shirts for it, and I tried not to get it all sweaty and stuff. And so if that's a struggle for you, just try to put your best foot forward, find a way if you can rent a suit or something like that. In general, it is something that unfortunately can kind of make or break a decision for somebody, especially if, depending on the industry. Some industries don't matter as much. But again, any time at convention is an opportunity to interact and to put your best self forward. Attire can be that thing that can help a little, or in more cases actually hurt if you're not properly dressed there. And then the other thing I just say with that is like, this is not you don't want to stand out because you have like the color, right? If that makes sense, like you want to stand out for your professionalism, because your resume, because of all these other things, not just because of your attire, right? So do dress to impress, but not for like a quince.
I think Paola said something very, very early on. The convention starts as soon as you get off that plane, right? So I think for the most part, when you're out, I think this year's in Salt Lake, so whenever you're out there, you're going to want to at least be at a very minimum, I would say, business casual. I think that's my days of going. I was very much what Jay was doing. I had one suit that was being used every day and changing out the shirts. By the end of the year, I had two suits from my senior year, so I was able to play with it a little bit more. But it's just one of those where I think they both, Jay and Paola both mentioned it. It's better to be overdressed than walk in somewhere where you have a recruiter sees you a little bit underdressed and then thinks you're not taking it seriously for whatever reason. You don't want that to be the reason that hurts your chances of getting your dream internship. So I would always err on the caution of it's better to be a little bit more overdressed. Definitely overdressed with comfortable clothing, like Paola said. The shoes apply to men as well. We can have the fancier shoes that are difficult to walk in, and we can have a little bit more of what we would call the more, dad shoes. Those are perfectly fine. You're going to be walking a lot. Don't worry about it.
On close, I'm going to add one more tip. That this is even for after hours. So if you go to the bars, or if you decide to go to a restaurant or go out or whatever, the recruiters and the companies will be at the same places you go. There's not that many places. Don't wear anything in general that you wouldn't wear in front of grandma, in front of grandpa, in front of your mom, in front of your dad. Like, just family-friendly environment, everyone.
Yep.
Agreed.
It'll be
All right.
a place for that, not when you're trying to get a job.
Agreed. Okay, are we good to do a group picture? I can ask folks to come off camera.
Come
All
on,
right.
camera.
Come on camera. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Brave souls. There we go. We got Eric. Looks like he's flipping his phone around. Anybody else, or is it just going to be a 6?
We got one more. Sweet.
Oh, we got a few coming in.
Yes.
They're coming. They're coming. My screen holds 50. I know we're only 31. I want as max as possible on this. All right. Are we waiting for like 5 more? Got any more brave souls? Oh, someone just disappeared. They're coming. They're coming.
We got a few more.
Hey, the Puerto Rican guy who likes anime is back.
That's Estella. I love it. I love it.
All right,
We got
so-
more people joining.
All right, I'm gonna give it another minute before we go to breakout rooms. Then hold on. Everybody stay on camera. All right, last call. 5, 4, 3. Oh, somebody just joined. Somebody heard that we're doing camera and they just joined. Hold on. All right. Oh, there we go. All right. I want you guys all to hold your smile while I do this. All right, ready? 1, 2, smile. See if that worked. All right. That should work. Let me just grab that quick screen grab right there. We're good. All right, we are good. Are all the speakers staying, or
I
anyone?
cannot. I have commitment I need to run to, but I was going to say, I think Will and Cindy, I think you copy the 3 presenters on that LinkedIn post. So if any of the students want to reach out, I would feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn. And then from there, if we need to get a hold of text or something, we can coordinate that on LinkedIn. But unfortunately, I won't be able to be in the breakout room just because I do have to go run to another commitment. But I appreciate being asked to be a part of this panel.
No, thank you, Jose. Thank you. We appreciate your time here. Looks like Jade threw his Twitter maybe tag in there and his website. So
Actually,
I'm gonna go ahead.
That is Twitter. You know me better than I do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you still running for president in 9 years? What's going on?
That's it. But that's Instagram after that. My bad.
All right,
we
everyone.
go.
I'm gonna
right,
bear with
cool.
me. First time creating the rooms. I don't know what's about to happen, so just don't leave. Jose, thank you for your time.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right.
And just to reiterate, if you guys missed it, we are going to post this recording on the Region 5 YouTube channel. I believe I posted the link to yesterday's recording. If you missed yesterday's session, it was very informational. We had a lot of information on there that I believe some people are asking about on the chat. So make sure to check that out.
All right, Jay, you're going room 1. Cindy, you're going room 2.
Okay.
Paula, you're going room 3. I don't know what's about to happen, so
Okay.
let's see.
We can stop the recording.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Let's see what happens if I hit save. Did they get kicked out? I just hit save. They got assigned to rooms. Stop recording. Okay, my bad.